Today, I got a very special treat for you guys because electric trucks and specifically F-150 Lightning has been a hot topic, which is good for all of us, right? Because once the trucks have gone electric and people are actually, really liking it, we're winning. We're winning. So I have, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you're very familiar with Tom Malogny. He's got his own channel, State of Charge, and of course, I have a link to it in the description of the video. But I don't know if you know, you should if you follow him or even just watch him on this channel. He is an owner of the F-150 Lightning truck for 2 weeks. Now look how happy he is. That's the day of his delivery. So he's waiting in the green room here, and he will join me just a second. He's going to tell us what his experience has been in a couple of weeks. Now, these 2 weeks for Tom is like 6 months of ownership for in a common folk, because he's been testing it and driving it and spending time with it and cuddling with it most likely. So he really has a good understanding of what this truck is. But also don't forget, he has driven pretty much all other trucks that, well, there are two, right? The R1T from Rivian and the Hummer EV. Now, as you guys probably know, if I was to get a truck and money wasn't a problem, I like Hummer EV specifically because I would, much like most people, I would never use a truck as a truck. And so to me, if you're using a truck as not a truck, then I would like a Hummer EV. There's a bunch of interesting, cool things about it. And I just like the way it looks. Now, of course, we're also going to compare it to upcoming electric trucks, fingers crossed, the Cybertruck, of course, and the Silverado EV. Now, obviously, Tom has seen both. I don't know if you've seen the Silverado EV. Yeah, I think he has. So we'll bring it in. He'll tell us all about it. Now, if you are watching me live, don't forget to tell me in the chat room where you're watching me from, what kind of EV you're driving, and of course, or what kind of EV you want to drive. So we're going to start right now. Welcome to E4 Electric. If you're not a subscriber, don't forget to click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. And again, Tom is going to be here to talk about his ownership of F-150 Lightning. He took delivery a couple of weeks ago, so I'm pretty excited. Now, before that, a quick reminder that this video is sponsored by CCAN. If you've been dying to get a top of the line, I don't even know how to run my telecast. If you're dying to get a top of the line electric vehicle, here's your chance. The CCAN Action Fund is raffling off the Tesla Model S or a Rivian electric truck to raise money for their work, which is fighting climate change. To buy your raffle tickets, you can go to the description of this video and get 1 or 2 or 3. They're actually a little bit undersold from what I understand. So you have a pretty good chance if you go for it right now. So Model S or a Rivian. So check them out. All right. A bunch of you are joining me already. Oh, we have tons of them watching. Don't forget to click on that thumbs up. But without any further ado, let me bring Tom in. Tom, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Alex, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, all right. So let's start with when you got your truck, and how much time have you spent with it? Has it been pretty much 100% of your waking hours?
So actually, yeah, I have spent a lot of time with it. I got it on July 1st, and it was 4th of July weekend. I had a lot of things planned. So it was funny. For the first 3 or 4 days, I really didn't drive it much because I had a lot of events and things to go to. But since then, yeah, I've been just driving it, depleting the battery, charge recordings. I did a range test with it a couple days ago. That video is going to be on my channel tomorrow. But lots of charge recordings. I'm going to have tons of videos coming out on everything you need to know about charging the F-150 Lightning. But that's kind of like what I do.
All right. Now, what's your impression like so far? Now, I know you wanted this truck, but you also a reservation holder for pretty much all other pickup trucks, right? and including R1T and maybe not a Hummer, but is it, one thing is your expectations, another thing that the truck pretty well. Give me like the couple of things that you're even more impressed that you even thought, and maybe a couple of things that you think might want to be improved.
So, so as far as what I'm impressed with is how it drives. It really just, I mean, I've always owned a pickup truck because I used to own commercial property and I always had a plow. So I used my pickup truck for snow plowing. I have a very long driveway at my house too. It's like almost 400 feet long and it's uphill. So having the plow was always easy to just plow out rather than snow blow or God forbid shovel. It's like a quarter mile long. But so I always had a pickup truck, but I always had a small pickup truck. Like Toyota Tacomas is what I typically had. And this is just such a different driving experience being so big. In the first few days, I was like, God, am I going to really get used to a full size truck? But I did. After like a week, I'm like, it feels like I've always driven something that big now. But the driving experience, like how smooth it is and how quiet it is, it's incredibly quiet. The Lightning, even cruising at highway speeds, you would think the wind noise would be a problem, but it's not until you really get up over 75 miles an hour. Then you could feel the wind noise more than any other time. But just cruising speeds, it just floats along. It kind of reminds me of the cars of the 70s when I was a little kid. Like my dad had a 72 Oldsmobile Delta 88 and it just kind of floated over the bumps. That's how this thing feels. You don't feel anything. It's got four-wheel independent suspension. It's heavy. It's 6,600 pounds. It really drives great. I'm super happy with it, and it can haul. I mean, you stomp on that thing, goes 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds for a big, 6,600 pound vehicle. It it moves, and I'm liking it so far, Alex.
All right, now let's talk about things that maybe you've noticed that could be improved.
So, a couple of things. Well, first off, the one pedal driving, I like that it has a one pedal driving feature. It's a toggle switch in the vehicle drive settings. And so you toggle one pedal driving on, and it's the transition between strong regenerative braking and acceleration. If you're, given acceleration, then you're easing off to one pedal, then you're accelerating. It should be smoother. They could work out some software and improve how it transitions between hard regen and acceleration. There's kind of like a dead spot in between that when you're doing regenerative braking, and then you give it a little accelerate. You push the pedal down a little bit, it kind of doesn't go anywhere. Then all of a sudden it takes off and throws you back. So I think they can improve that. And the charging is acceptable, but they can improve the charging speeds.
All right. Now, my pet peeve with the F-150 Lightning has been one, right? And I think we've debated this for a while. But let's talk about the range. And I know you've done the range tests, and we'll do more that just like the charging tests. My thing is this. If it's a truck, and you should use it as one. Otherwise, I don't quite understand why people get it, but I know people get it. But the range. So the range is 230 miles on the lower version, a smaller battery, and the 320 PA miles on the higher one. And I know it has quite impressive estimator. Like, actually, let's talk about the estimator. Tell us a little bit about it, because it's quite impressive. It's got the scale in the bed, and kind of calculates, probably one of the best on the market. Would you agree?
So I haven't fully tested it out yet. I know Ford intends it to be one of the best on the market, and they've promised that it would be accurate within 5%. And that's tough to do when you're talking about, towing and hauling weight. So it's going to take into consideration topography, weather conditions, all that stuff. So, I from what I understand, that their goal was within 5%. I don't know if they're going to nail that. To be honest with you, yet I haven't done it, so I'm not going to speak like, oh yeah, it's that great. I can tell you some of my driving experience so far without towing anything. It was not accurate to within 5%. So that's something that I'm going to keep a close eye on, and I'm going to see how good it works.
All right. So, but as far as effort, to a genuine effort from a company to give you a good estimation of the range, I think Ford has done better than most. But here's the thing: if you are using the truck as a truck and you're actually hauling stuff, or putting a bunch of stuff in the bed and stuff, the range can go down for, it could be cut by half. And by the way, this is not a Ford F-150 Lightning problem. It's basically a physics problem. R1T has the same issue, and I don't know if anybody is going to be hauling anything with a Hummer EV, but it's the same issue. Silverado is going to have the same problem, and the Cybertruck is going to have the same problem. My point is that if you cut that in half, then it's what if it's a 230, so we're talking about 115 miles of actual range. And the thing is, when you're hauling stuff, that's where you really go in long distance. So if it's 115, or in a best case scenario 160 miles, that's just not enough, especially if we remember that when you charge this damn thing, you have to take the trailer off, park it somewhere, charge, and then put the trailer back on. So that's another challenge that it creates. If this was a passenger car, and under certain condition it would lose half of its range, most people will have a problem with it. So what is your view on whether or not the range is appropriate, not just for the F-150 Lightning, but for others which have the similar range, the R1T and the Hummer EV?
So there's a lot to unpack there. The first thing that I'd like to mention is that you keep referring to the standard battery pack, the 230 mile EPA range ring. Nobody that gets a Lightning that intends to do much towing would get the standard range battery pack. So let's push that to the side for a minute. The standard range battery pack is mostly going to be for businesses that have fleets that are light duty trucks. There's construction companies that, I have a friend that has 5 pickup trucks, and he has a big construction company. The trucks never go more than 50 to 60 miles from his depot. So, it would work great for that, even hauling stuff. He could load the back up with 2,000 pounds of, bags of cement or whatever, and take it to the job site without a problem. So let's not talk about towing with the standard range. Let's talk about towing with the extended range. Now, the 320 miles EPA range rating, yes, you can, it can even be less than half the range, depending on what you're doing. If you're towing 10,000 pounds up a mountain, in the middle of the winter, that 320 miles might be 100 miles. But you have to use the right tool for the job, Alex. And, I hate to say this because, you're an experienced electric vehicle person, but you sound a lot like the EV naysayers that I hear sometimes, that when I say, oh, yeah, I have EVs, I love my EVs, and they come up with reasons why EVs won't work. They talk about, yeah, well, what if there's a storm and there's no power for a month and there's no electric and this and that. The fact of the matter is, with towing, there was a big study done in 2019, more than 250,000 pickup truck owners. 33% of them towed more than twice a year. So the fact of the matter is, we sell 3 million pickup trucks a year here in the US. If only a third of them are towing more than twice a year, then there's an enormous market for people that buy pickup trucks that don't need to tow 10,000 pounds for 1,000 miles twice a month. And I think that's really, people that are looking for the Lightning are not going to be hardcore truck, ranchers in North Dakota that need to drive down to Oklahoma 3 times a month to pick up feed or something. So basically, I know I made a long answer, but the answer is, every pickup truck doesn't have to do everything. There's still a huge market for people that this is more than enough range for.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that if you don't really use the truck as the truck, it's great. Which, by the way, is not a bad argument. Most people, you're right. You don't even need to do that research that you just told me about. I can just literally, I see a street outside of my window, and I'll see how many pickup trucks drive by. Out of 10, almost, I guarantee actually 10 will not be hauling anything, right? Or having something in their bed. So I get it. However,
yeah, but wait, let me cut you off for a second. You said if you're using a truck not like a truck. Who are you to say what using a truck is? What you should have said was, you're not using it to its fullest capabilities, because plenty of people own trucks, and to them, that's how they use a truck. Once a month they go to Home Depot and buy a barbecue grill, and they put it in
Yeah.
the back, and they're happy they had a pickup truck. Like, to them, that's hauling. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. No,
So,
listen, I stand corrected, but I'm basing it on what the Ford's press material is showing me. I mean, the press material, you've seen it a million times. They're hauling a helicopter behind there, right?
yeah,
Not the barbecue grill, but a helicopter and a humongous trailer and you know what I mean? This is
yeah.
their press material. So I'm just basing it on that. But
No, I got you. And you know what? Like, for me, for instance, I don't have a boat. I used to have a boat, but if I did have a boat and I was towing it, say, to the Jersey Shore, I could tow almost any size boat with that thing, and go to the Jersey Shore and back. That would be what I needed it to tow for. I wouldn't need it to tow to Florida from New Jersey. I'd want to go 80 miles down to a shore house. And it can do that with just about any size boat that would fit parked in my driveway. So it is still capable, Alex. It can still tow. It can still do a lot of things, but it can't do everything. But I would estimate that it can do, 90% of the people that buy pickup trucks could buy this truck, and it would satisfy their needs. I think only 10% either, the range wouldn't be enough or the towing wouldn't be enough. And, when you look at it in that context, think about, like, Ford can only make about 200,000 of these in the next 2 years. 2-year production's about 200,000 F-150 Lightnings. They sell 1 million trucks a year. So, just don't buy the wrong truck. Buy the truck that suits your needs. If a big diesel, truck is what you need because you got to drive, 1,500 miles 3 times a month, then get that. But the Lightning works, and I am not, I know you're hung up on the range. I feel the opposite with you. I think they did the right thing with this.
well, so going back to what you said earlier, like I sound like a naysayers of people who hate electric cars. I get this, by the way. I get this all the time. Every time I criticize Tesla, I'm anti-Tesla. Every time I criticize, so I think my point of view comes not so much, like I'm not anti-Tesla or anti-Ford in this case. I am pro Ford drivers. I am pro Tesla drivers. Here's the thing: the way you get better is by or make things better is by pointing out what can be improved, right? If me and you were sitting here and just saying how great the F-150 Lightning is, there would be no service to anybody, really, right? If we were to point out, and Ford hopefully listens to some of us, that hey, you got to improve the range. There are some people who actually want to use the truck as a truck and haul a helicopter behind it, right? So I just, not saying anything at all, I think is also a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I'm a hockey fan, and so I remember, I root for the Detroit Red Wings hockey team, which is tough times right now. But one of the best Red Wings of recent times, Steve Eisenberg, always said, as a fan, you should demand excellence. That's what the fans are for, not to just cheer you no matter what. The fans are also to hold you to a higher standard. And that's what, I think this channel is actually all about, right? So, yeah, I mean, listen, bottom line is the range could be improved, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think part of the reason why they come in at the range that they did, the Lightning, and make no mistake about it, future iterations of the Lightning are going to have bigger battery packs and more range. Ford was, let's say, first to market. Now, I'm not going to count Rivian because they're a startup, say first to market with, the big three, the Ford truck, the Chevy truck, and Dodge, so Ford came to market first. And how'd they do that? They came to market first. Really, part of that reason was because they took the existing, pickup F-150 Lightning platform and the truck and said, look, we have to make an electric version of this. We need to use the same components, the same door panels, the same seats. We need to get an electric truck out there as quickly as possible. And because they did it that way, I think that the packaging, as far as the size of the battery pack that they could put in, might have been limited. and which, let's say Chevy is doing, ground up, that the Silverado is going to have a dedicated platform. It's not going to share any components with the other Silverados, and well, maybe some components, but we don't know exactly yet. But not like what Ford did. A huge amount of the components on the Lightning are just regular F-150 components, and in doing that, they were able to bring it to market quickly. They were able to keep the cost relatively consistent with comparable gasoline versions of the truck. And they got to market first, and that means something. I fully suspect, maybe 2024 model, 2025 model year is going to have a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack to match Silverado. But Ford couldn't do that out of the pocket day one, and they wanted to get the vehicle to market, and I think that was the right decision.
All right. Well, look, Eric Doe here really gets it. He says Alex is just being his usual devil's advocate, and we love him for that. Yeah, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to, start a conversation, and that's what we're doing here. Again, this would be a horrible show. I would invite someone who would completely 100% agree with me. We save that for coffee. When me and Tom hang out outside of this, that's where we agree on stuff a lot. But here, that's not what we're here for. All right. So here's another comment, Tom, and let's get into the competition, because I think we should talk obviously about how the F-150 Lightning compares to the competition. Christian says most of my coworkers say they wouldn't buy the Lightning, not because of the electricness of it, but their Silverado can do 550 miles on a full tank versus 320. Actually, you know what? Go ahead and address that.
Yeah, I mean, people find reasons not to want to buy electric. It's I was talking to somebody the other day about it, about the truck, and a friend of mine who and most of my friends love the truck, but he asked me, well, what do you do? Like, let's say, if I got this and I had to drive to Texas, and I'm like, well, there are charging stations, along the route that you can stop at. Now, he wasn't talking about towing; he was just talking about the 320-mile range, whatever. I said, you'd find them if you needed to get there. I said, but let me ask you something. When's the last time you drove to Texas? And he smiled. He says, I've never driven to Texas. I said, well, maybe you went to Florida, because that's like a common drive, New Jersey to Florida, the East Coast. And he just smiled. He goes, to be honest with you, the furthest I've ever driven is up to Vermont. It's like 350, 360 miles. I'm like, you're 55 years old. You've never even driven a 400-mile road trip, and you're bitching to me about not having a 520-mile range on your car. Like, you're worrying about something that you don't have to focus on. Yeah, if you went to that 400-mile trip in Vermont, you'd have to stop once with your Lightning for about 15 minutes. And there's, a half a dozen charging stations along the way that you could stop at. So, people find reasons why that the vehicle wouldn't work for them. And I think that's the same with some of the coworkers, that, people don't realize, when before you get an EV, you're on this paradigm of going to a gas station once a week and filling up your tank, and then, going home, and then a week later going there. But when you have an EV, as long as you can charge at home, it's a totally different paradigm. You come home every night, you plug in, and you're at 100% or 90%, whatever you set it at, every morning. So that 520-mile range really only comes into play when you're doing very long road trips. And most people just don't do very long road trips, especially if they live on the coasts. If you're in middle America, things are spaced out more. You drive a little bit further. But quite honestly, most of the people that I know, once or twice a year, they go more than 500 miles on a road trip. And, for that, an EV is perfect.
Yeah, very, very good point. I've learned that when I'm dating, is whenever you ask a question, what are you looking for, right? With the girl, the answer is probably not going to be what they're actually going to end up with. So same thing with the. All right, let's get back to a couple of super chats, and then we'll do some comparison. This is from Nate Jones. He says, when you showed video of the Lightning, I saw the headlights flickering. Was it the recording tech thing? Yeah, it is a recording tech thing. They don't actually flicker like that, Nate. But that was a $5 super chat, but then he follows up with a $20 super chat. Tom, that's two bowls at Chipotle from me later today. And he says hotshot trucking is a thing too. Hotshot is where you're driving a pickup truck with a heavy trailer and driving lighter, smaller loads cross country. If they could get more range and better, what C stands for?
Charging? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, and a Lightning would be perfect for hot shot trucking. Have you heard of the hot shot trucking, Tom?
Not really. I understand what he's saying, but I'm not really a follower of hardcore trucking, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, either way, thank you for the super chat. We have another one actually just came in. This is from Taker610. He says, "How about electric trucks set up like the Nissan Qashqai e-Power? I don't even know if I pronounced it right. Slash BMW i3 hybrids with electric drive and range extender. A gallon of gas is about 35 kilowatt hour."
Right. So the energy is 35 kilowatt hour, but you don't get that, once you burn it. It's like what, 28 or 29% efficient. But any event, yeah, Ford patented a range extender device that would sit in the back of the F-150 Lightning's truck bed. So we haven't seen anything about it yet, but we did see the patent filing. So Ford's working on something like that right now that would drop into the back of the truck bed.
All right, now let's. By the way, thank you for all of the super chatters. They always will make a priority as far as us replying to that. But okay, so let's talk about the competition, right? And let's start with the competition that's on the market right now. You've driven, believe, both Hummer EV and the R1T, correct?
I'm sorry, my mic cut out a little bit. I ordered both, you said?
No, no, no. You've driven both R1T
Driven.
And the Hummer EV, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So, compare and, tell me if you like, is F-150 just like kicking, both of their butts, or there are some interesting things that you found in the other ones. Like Hummer EV is my favorite just because, again, if I was to get one, I would not be hauling anything. I would just enjoy it as a car. And I think Hummer EV is an amazing pickup truck for me. What say
Yeah, so
you?
they all have their own personalities. The Hummer EV, first of all, is just nuts. It's just crazy, stupid, powerful, insane. It feels like you're driving your living room. I mean, it's so wide. I remember sitting in it and sitting with the GMC engineer, and like I couldn't even reach him. That's how far apart you sit in this thing. So, I mean, that's a specific, that's like a super truck. Okay. So, I mean, you got to put that in its own class. Like that's just crazy. It's wild. It's so expensive, but it's an awesome, fun thing. That's like, look at me. You get that because you want everyone to look at you when you roll up in the parking lot and get out. Okay. That's one thing.
By the way, I
Rivian,
saw one in a while that literally just the other day for the first time, and it looks just glamorous. I saw it at night with all the lights. It just looked glamorous. I agree. And don't forget, one of the things that I like is that remember that the company that designed the interface, the user interface, is a gaming company. So it really is just such a beautiful user interface to me, which is important. So, but yeah, go ahead.
and when you put it into Watts to Freedom and do the launch, like this, it rumbles, it vibrates, it makes noise like a video game. It's
a show.
It's pretty cool.
It's a show,
and
right?
I tell you, the Watts to Freedom launch mode on the Hummer EV is sick. It feels like the launch of a Tesla Model S Plaid. I know it's not as fast as that, but for some reason it feels that fast. Maybe because it's 9,000 pounds and you're sitting, 3 feet off the ground, and it's rumbling and shaking and making noise. But it's crazy, the Watts to Freedom launch. So that's the Hummer EV. The Rivian R1T is really a lifestyle vehicle. It's an image. It's kind of like a Range Rover type of I think customer, and it's people that want to go outdoors, fish, camp, things like that. I mean, it's not a work truck by any means. It's an adventure vehicle, and it's, for people that want that image, the adventure image. The Hummer is the glamour, the look at me, I'm Jay-Z rolling up to a club one night, but the R1T is the outdoorsy camping, those people, the R1, the F-150 Lightning is the blue collar workman's, everyday truck. It does everything that the pickup truck would normally do. I mean, I had it the other day. I'm finishing my basement now. I had lumber in the back. I was cutting 2x4s with my circular saw that was plugged into the the power outlet in the back, the Pro Power onboard. There's clamps that are built into the tailgate, so you can put a clamp on it and clamp down wood. There's a measure, a ruler built into the tailgate, so you can have your, you can measure stuff. There's a little holder to put your pencils. It's a work truck. So, I mean, these three trucks have their own personalities. They all, have their own lane that they operate in. There's some overlay for sure, but that's what those three vehicles are. They're very different trucks.
Now let's add the Cybertruck and the Silverado. And the Cybertruck, obviously, we don't know what the configuration is going to be, but it does look like it might go in production next year. But the Silverado EV is more straightforward because we know all of the specs. From what I'm seeing, pretty much every Silverado EV spec is better than F-150 Lightning. Obviously, it's coming in a year later, the better range, better charging, everything's better. And Silverado EV is actually based on a dedicated electric platform, where F-150 Lightning is still a sort of what do you call it? I mean, it's essentially made on the same line as the gas or diesel powered F-150.
It is, but it is a dedicated skateboard platform. I mean, they did do that, but like the body and everything is all the same.
Yeah. So talk about those two. I mean, to me, if Silverado EV was on the market right now, it would be a clear winner between that and F-150 Lightning. Obviously, Lightning would be improved as well. They're not just going to sit on their hands. But as far as what it has to offer in the specs, to me, it looks like Silverado EV would win anytime. As a matter of fact, I think it's a good opportunity for GM to actually one up Ford for once. But what are your thoughts?
So, if it would be here now, it's not. If Cybertruck would be here now, it's not. I mean, if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. I mean, they're not here. It's something that we're looking at. We know that the Cybertruck is supposed to come out next year. We've heard that before. I have a reservation on a Cybertruck. I put it in not super early, so I'm not going to be one of the first people to get it. But I think it would be a cool vehicle to do videos and stuff like that on. We really still don't know what the future is at that, and what the production version is going to come out. All these ifs. People talk about vaporware. Until it's on the road and you're buying it, it's vaporware. And the Silverado's coming too. I know that, but when? And that's why I like to look at the Lightning and say the Lightning's delivering now. Ford's delivering those trucks. They're on the road. Yeah, these things have great specs, but put them on the road and then we'll talk about them. I love the Silverado. I love what Chevy's doing. I love the features it has. It's got some really cool things. But for crying out loud, Jim's been doing a hell of a lot of talking about EVs, and they're the leaders and all this stuff and everything. But put up. It's time to stop talking. Put the shit on the road. And Ford's done it, and that's why I'm really in support Ford, what they're doing with their EVs. Listen, Ford is pivoting. The entire company is going to go electric. They know that's the future. They decided that that's the direction they have to go in. They electrified their Mustang. Now I know it's different. It's not the regular Mustang, but they electrified a Mustang, the F-150 Lightning, and the Ford Transit. Those three vehicles are like the backbone of the entire company. And I want to see more commitment from GM, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I actually, so GM has a lot of stuff kind of that they're talking about, but they're not delivering. I mean, they just started redelivering or delivering again the Bolt EV. So they're a lot behind, and a lot have gone wrong. But if there's a chance for them, and if they solved all of their problems, if there's a chance for them to one up Ford, I think the Silverado EV, when it comes out now, we know that the Silverado EV does have a date that's, when they're going to start production, which I believe is in like around 9 or 10 months from now. And I believe them, just like I believe Ford. But the Cybertruck is obviously a little bit different. Now, let me ask you a little bit about the Cybertruck, right? I mean, you're a Tesla owner, or you're a Tesla fan in general. Oops. And, Tesla is used to, going to market first with everything and winning. Well, things are changing. Right now, there are two trucks on the market before theirs. Maybe the Silverado will make it before that as well. Does Tesla pivot a little bit and adjust the specs and maybe even the look, interior and exterior of the Cybertruck based on how popular these electric trucks are? Or do they go like, no, we're doing our own Tesla thing in our own Tesla way, and if you like it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. Do you see them making any adjustments based on what's happening with the electric trucks that are on the market right now?
Not really. I mean, if they make adjustments, it's because the form that they wanted to do like isn't possible. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that, I think they put out something without like that, without really knowing for sure that they could build it and it would pass, safety regulations for front impact on pedestrians and things like that. Like, I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there. It's just such a crazy unconventional design. I think that they maybe put it out there without fully thinking everything through, and if they make changes, I think it's not going to be because they saw what the other trucks are doing and they wanted to compete or get out quicker. I think it would be because they realized a certain part of the vehicle isn't possible to make that the way they wanted to make it. And I mean, they're breaking new ground. I mean, I'm not saying anything people don't already know. I mean, look at how that thing looks. It's nobody's built, mass produced a vehicle anything like that. With just the cold rolled steel panels as an exoskeleton, and I mean, I think kind of Elon was just like, that's cool, that's Blade Runner, that's what I want, now make it happen. And the engineers are just like, Jesus Christ, how do we do this? And that's probably why it's been being delayed so long.
Do you see it going to actually production next year? I think it's like his latest estimate was summer.
I don't know. I think at best we're going to get, a couple hundred units built before the end of the year, just because, like, he
of this year
says we can't push it off any more years, and Elon like orders them to make a few of them by hand. I don't know. I hope they do. I hope they start making them next year. It's just, I I don't know what's going on with it. It was promised so long ago, and we don't even know now. He's changed his mind. Tri-motor and rear wheel steering, and because I have no idea where we're at with Cybertruck, man. I wish I did.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a bit of a break right now, Tom, because the next question is for me. Just a quick, if you guys haven't watched my channel, a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video about, one of the Rivian trucks accelerator pedal broke off, and I tried to look for anybody else who had the same issue. I did not, so I posted a video about just this one instance. You're looking at the pictures right now, where the little plastic cover, I guess, where the spring goes, kind of broke off, and obviously that's a big deal if you ask me. But there are no cases right now. So the next question is from Cam. Ron and Z says Rivian is still my preferred EV pickup option. It would be nice to know actually why. Why do people prefer Rivian over Ford or the other way around? Have there been any more cases of broken gas pedals, Alex, accelerator pedals? Or was that FUD? First of all, I hate the word FUD or fake news and stuff like that. That's basically making a counter argument of a 5-year-old of just saying, just throwing poop at you, right? So no, listen, when a company produced only, 2 or 3,000 of these, and accelerator pedal kind of falls off, especially in this matter, it's something that needs to be brought up. Like I said, this channel is about being on the side of the consumers, not being on the side of any of these corporations, no matter how electric they are. So, and hopefully, one of the main reasons I actually posted the video, I wanted Rivian to take a look at it and make sure that if there is a problem, they would fix it. Now, I know the guys that Now also have a truck, and they looked at it and they said that they kind of figured out why this could have happened. Theirs, I guess, has a little bit of a crack as well, and they say that might happen to them as well. But for now, no. And hopefully it doesn't. I mean, I generally, as a human being, hope nobody has this problem, especially while they're driving. So the answer is no, but they haven't made that many extra. I think they're at 4,000 or 5,000. They're ramping up. So, but trust me, I will definitely keep you updated. All right, let's get to the next. Unless Tom wants to chime in on this one, but I doubt he does. Um, all right,
Well,
so
Alex and I have actually talked about this a lot, guys. We went back and forth and talked about it. I'm happy that Alex brought it to light. I think that it's good to expose things, and when you think that there's a problem, it can be your duty to actually say, "Hey, there might be an issue here." That's great. But on the other side, I'm not convinced that there's a legitimate problem just yet because one person broke their pedal, and a lot of things could have happened. I don't know this person. For all I know, he reached and grabbed it and intentionally broke it off because he was trying to short Rivian stock. I'm not saying that was the case, but we like to see multiple failures, or we like to see an engineer take this thing apart and say, yeah, there's a problem there. So I applaud Alex for bringing this to everyone's attention. I think it was the right thing to do. But I think we also need to take a step back and see if it has any future problems, or if somebody that actually knows about manufacturing, like Alex and I don't know about manufacturing, takes it apart and says, hey, there's a problem here. This thing needs to get redesigned. Until that happens, I'm chalking it up as just a one-off problem.
yeah, and someone who's not on being paid or has any type of NDA with Rivian, right? So we want to make sure that there's someone who's completely independent, and then would probably be. But as long as Rivian does it, like, to me, it's important that Rivian does it, because Rivian has a lot to lose also, right? As a brand, as a new brand, and they take a look, which from what I understand, they are taking a look at it, and I hope there are absolutely no other instances. But just so you know, I hate when people say FUD or something hater or fake news. It's basically just throwing poop and not really having a conversation. All right, let's move on. So we have another one from Nate. By the way, Nate is the most super chatter ever. Like, he super chats every time, so I really appreciate it, Nate. All right, he says, one of the federal regulations requires the roof to support the full weight of the vehicle, such as what would happen in the rollover. The Cybertruck might have problems with that. Tom, do you think this could be a concern?
Honestly, I would be just totally speculating. It's that steel, that cold rolled steel is super strong. But it does have the mostly glass on the roof. I don't know. It could be, yeah, it could be a problem. It could be one of the things that give them a hard time. But again, without really seeing, we don't even know what the solid production version is going to look like. That A pillar there that goes up the front might be 2 inches wider, to support the roof. But I think that's something, what he brought up is a legitimate question. And I think the part of the reason why it's taken so long is, I think the engineers are making all this stuff work. Like, Elon drew on a piece of paper, this is what I want it to look like. And so they came out with this crazy wild thing, and now they have to make it work and conform to regulations and be safe and all that stuff.
And by the way, here's another interesting follow-up from Christian. He says, I just don't see the Cybertruck costing less than $90,000 with it using steel versus aluminum. Do you think pricing might be a problem there? Because I know he wanted to start it at 40,000, but then they just removed it from the website.
No way are we getting a $40,000 Cybertruck. No way. Period. I don't. I just don't see that happening. I really don't. I hope we do. It would be great if we did, but let's see. We don't even have a $40,000 Model 3. So,
right. Yeah, that's true.
We can have a $40,000 Cybertruck.
All right. Okay. Here's a question for you, Tom. It comes from Yankee Billy 1963. Man, I'm just so bad at reading this username. All right. So it says, Tom, have you had any problems with a shifter not going down or coming up? We should explain that the shifter actually, with a press of the button, not manually but automatically, like the gear shifter goes down. I wish I had footage for that. And then you can put the whole picnic table thing on top of that. Like something very similar I had in Jaguar XF. And it broke in the middle of my date. Like I literally pulled up to pick up a date, and my shifter never came up, and we literally had to like, my date started with a tow truck. So has that happened? I mean, I'm assuming not. And is it a concern?
So no, it hasn't happened, and I've done it like 100 times because I always show my friends how it goes down and how the center console flips up, and it's like a little table there for like your laptop or if you're eating. It's a giant table. But the one thing I will say that is one of the things I'm not happy with is so the center console, your armrest, when you lift it up, it doesn't like to stay up unless you lift it up really slowly and hold it. Like if you just take it and flip it up, I want it to stay up while I'm digging in there, grabbing stuff out of the center console. It bounces back down on my arm. So that's one of the things that little things, but that's what bothers me. But as far as the shifter, no. And I've put that thing up and down 100 times. So mine works just fine.
All right, now let's move on to another interesting comment, which is, you know what, actually, Tom, I actually wanted to ask you something else. Obviously you do a lot of charge tests, and I know you're not done with them, but so far, what is your impression of charging? I know F-150 does not have an extremely awesome charging rate or a bad. I mean, it's kind of in the middle of the road. What have you noticed so far?
So Ford has put out that the Lightning will charge from 15% to 80% in 42 minutes, and which isn't world breaking, but it's not terrible. You gotta understand, so the battery pack is like 145 or 146 kilowatt hour. It's 131 kilowatt hour usable. I mean, it's an enormous battery pack. It's the biggest battery pack we've ever had on any EV yet. That I've driven or tested. I know the Hummer EV has a bigger battery pack, but so 42 minutes isn't terrible to get to 80%. And I've done a bunch of testings now, and I'm consistently hitting it in 43 minutes. It's like a minute longer than what Ford promises. So, you get to 80% in a little over 40 minutes, and that's going to be good for about 240, 250 highway miles if you're not towing anything. I think I get to 50% from dead in 31 minutes, I think it was. So, in a half an hour, you can get half your range back. If you plug in at a relatively low state of charge. Thing about the Lightning that I think a lot of people look at is they say, well, it only charges at, Ford says 150 kilowatt, but it actually takes almost 170. If you're on a 350 kilowatt DC fast charger, it'll pull close to 170 for about 4 or 5 minutes in the very beginning. But the thing is, after it does that first jump up, it lowers down to somewhere around 115 to 120 kilowatt, and it holds that all the way to just about 80%. So, the peak charging rate is a glamorous number. People love to talk about, like the Rivian does 230 kilowatt. That's fantastic. It does it for this much time on the chart. But the Lightning doesn't go up that high, but it holds 110, 115 kilowatt all the way to 80%. And that's pretty good. It could be better. It could hold 140, 135, 140 kilowatt all the way up. Then you'd knock 5, 6, 7 minutes off your 80% charge time, which I think Ford's going to massage the charging curve. So it's not bad. It's not great, but it holds a high charge rate deep into the pack, and that's what's important.
All right, now here's another question. I think this is for both of us, but no names, no need. Someone obviously in the witness protection program. Ford did say that the battery size was a sweet spot for efficiency. Bigger would make it less attractive. There is plenty of space to add more battery if they wanted to. I think Sandy said that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they're just making excuses for not wanting the truck to cost more.
Yeah.
If they did manage to squeeze in more batteries, then it's going to cost more, and it's going to be heavier, and then that will take their efficiency down an extra notch. But I think they chose that because packaging wise, that size battery worked for them. I mean, I can't imagine them, just electing to put in a smaller battery if they could have put another 20 kilowatt hours in, because it's going to have 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour instead of 2.3. So I think it was cost and packaging, the reason why we have that size. And quite honestly, it works for most people. The people that are saying, it doesn't go 520 miles, honestly, they're finding an excuse not to buy it. It has plenty of driving range.
All right. Well, we're just like I said, that's still my pet peeve with this and pretty much all of the other trucks. But listen, overall, would you agree that the fact that we are actually talking about this? I mean, a year ago there was none of this on the road, right? Electric trucks. Not only that, and correct me if I'm wrong, these electric trucks are getting really, really good feedback, not only from just the reviewers. I have a feeling why that is, but also from the public. I mean, we got this, hardcore truck diesel burning bros to say, I like the Rivian, I like the F-150 Lightning, I might like the Silverado EV. Is this the turning point in our fight that you started even before me? I started about 10 years ago in convincing the general public that electric vehicles are just better and it's the future and they should get one.
Yeah, I mean, I as you mentioned, I've been doing this a long time. I've been driving EVs for about 13 years now, and I always said until electric pickup trucks come, we're still in the infancy of EVs because this country, U.S., is a pickup truck country. Let's face it. I mean, they're number one, two, and three in sales every year, and we're there now. And it's not, now that we're here, it's not like most people don't like them. I mean, just about everybody that I meet loves the thing. And I'm driving down the road. I had a guy the other day, I was on Route 18 in South Brunswick, big 18 wheeler starts blowing his horn next to me. And I'm looking at him. I thought maybe I cut him off or something and didn't realize it. And I look up and he's leaning over and he's giving me thumbs up and he's pointing at the truck and doing this. And people know what it is. And I'm surprised about that because it looks basically like an F-150, except if you really know what it is, it says Lightning, and plus the front is different. The headlights are different. But you have to kind of know what it is to know what it is because it's just an F-150. I can't believe how many people see me with it and are just like, oh my God, that's a Lightning. And how do you like it? I wish I could order one. I tried to, it was too late. You can't order them now. So, and even the guys at the dealership, a good friend of mine was just at a Ford dealership, not the dealership I went to, another dealership here in New Jersey, because his daughter's lease was coming up and he bought out the lease on her car. So he went and took care of everything. And he was telling the salesperson that he was dealing with that his friend got the Lightning. And the guy was telling me, he goes, we are floored with that. The salesman was saying, he goes, we have one here. It's a static one that they have to leave at the dealership. Every dealer got them. They have to keep them for 6 months. He said people are coming in and just outbidding each other. They're saying when you're 6 months up, I'll give you 10,000 more. I'll give you 20,000 more. And they're not even posting a price. People are just coming in, writing in numbers and giving it to them, which is kind of crazy. But what I'm basically saying is that even the dealers are like shocked at how good it is. And the salespeople, they get to drive everything. So yeah, we're getting there, Alex.
Yeah, no, absolutely love it. Let me read another super chat. That's $2. That's my guac on the side for my Chipotle. Okay, people take, I mean, really quick, I don't want to concentrate too much on this. So Taker 610 says, it's not the Silverado, it's the electric Avalanche. People say this all the time. Why do they say it? Is it a fair criticism? And do we really care?
Well, it looks like an Avalanche to me. So, I mean, what's in a name? I really don't care what they want to call it, but I mean, like the Mustang Mach-E, like people were all up in arms when they called it Mustang. It sure does look like an Avalanche, but hey, GM gets to decide what their vehicles are called. We don't. So it's a Silverado.
Fair enough. All right, Tom, listen.
Alex, one more thing before you go.
Sure.
How are we on likes on this video?
Yeah, I have not been soliciting for likes. We have over 500 people watching, but we're only at 142 likes. So before you guys go,
come on, guys.
I know. I
give the likes for me, not for Alex.
Yeah,
I'm on the show. This show has to have more likes than Alex usually gets, because you want to tell people that you're liking it for me, not for him. So give us a like if you haven't already.
Just give a like if you support Tom's relentless quest to hurt my feelings. So please click the thumbs up. Look, we're almost at 200 as soon as we say that. It's 195 right now. So all right, Tom, listen, it's always good to have you on the show. I'm hoping we're hanging out soon in person. I know what that's going to be. We just spent a lot of time in Europe together. That was awesome. So thanks so much. Listen, guys, by the way, really quick, tell everybody you have a video coming up tomorrow, and it is about F-150 Lightning. Tell us just a little bit about it really quick.
Okay, really quick. So tomorrow I have my first F-150 Lightning video coming out. I do these 70-mile-an-hour range tests. You might recognize them. A lot of them I put on Inside EVs. I charge the EV up to 100%, get right out onto the highway, drive it at a steady 70 miles an hour to see how far it'll go. I have the same loop that I drive on. It's up and down the New Jersey Turnpike. So I did that with my F-150 Lightning. Videos coming out tomorrow morning. So head over to my YouTube channel called State of Charge and check that out. And you know what? You could hit that subscribe button while you're over there.
Yes. All right, Tom.
All right, that's
well,
my
listen.
shameless plug.
Absolutely, no problem with that. That's not shameless. People should. I mean, if people interested in F-150 Lightning, you are the best source for it. That's why we're talking right now. But hey, listen, thanks so much for joining me, man. It's always a pleasure. And if people don't know, Tom is always a contributor for my Sunday videos. So don't forget to watch us right here on the Sunday video. And of course, go to Tom's channel as well. I put a link to it in the description of this video. Tom, thank you so much, and I will see you on Sunday.
Thanks, Alex. Take care, everybody.
All right, guys. So like I said, don't forget the link to Tom's channel is in the description of this video. This guy is, to me, the best journalist, electric car journalist out there. You should definitely subscribe. Even if you're not always want to know the ranges, it's just his reporting is excellent. So don't forget to click the thumbs up button. We're up to, look, 255. That, I think, is almost the record. I don't know if you can reach 300, but do it as soon as you can. Unless there are any super chats. Thank you so much for watching this. This has been a blast. I'm actually going to repost this live stream. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of live streams coming up next week with amazing guests. We're going to talk about solar. We're going to talk about some other things. I'm even thinking about having Warren on the show. That's how committed to entertainment I am here. So, all right, I'm looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time. And remember to stay charged.